Hey guys, I'm Sean Hammond from PremierGuitar.com. We are Winter NAMM 2017 in Anaheim at a rare quiet moment down in Hall E, talking to Mason from Vertex Effects. And Mason, you've got 3 new pedals?
Yeah, we have 3 new pedals that are going to be launching here in 2017. The very first one over here on our left is the Steel String Clean Drive, and it just started shipping this week. And it's based on the Dumble Steel String Singer amplifier. And we started this project because we had a client that actually owned the very first Steel String Singer ever made. And so we used that amp as kind of our calibrator for this project to really make sure that when we were designing this, it had as much fidelity to the original design as possible, and used a variety of clean Fender amps to voice it through, just to make sure that it really could replicate that sound through a variety of clean platforms.
Very cool. So it's got, standard drive controls, volume and gain, but I'm guessing that this real key, well, one of the big keys is that filter knob in the middle?
Yeah, so the filter is really what allows you to shape it with a lot of different amplifiers. It's basically a mid-range shift. So anything that's kind of below about 12 o'clock on the filter control is emphasizing a little bit more of a lower mid-range, whereas to the right of noon is kind of more of an upper mid-range. So if you have something that's not as scooped as, say, a blackface Fender, you can still dial this in to really get kind of the bigness and warmth that's characteristic of the Dumble style clean tone.
So how do we're hearing it through an old Fender Pro Reverb.
Yes.
And it's the knobs are shiny. I can't see what they're set at. What do we set at?
So we have volume maybe around 10 o'clock or so. The filter is maybe just a little bit past noon, around 1, and the gain's also around 1. So right now we're getting a little extra fatness, and the gain really doesn't add a lot of distortion so much as it adds bigness to the bottom end. So if we wanted something that was maybe more reminiscent of like a typical sort of maybe clean tone, just about at unity gain, I'm just going to put everything at noon and bring the filter up just to kind of compensate for the blackface scoopness that we have from the Pro Reverb.
Can we actually hear the amp alone, just to have some reference? Okay. Really toughens it up, but it's still sparkling.
Yeah, and you hear that harmonic content on the top end. It gets really shimmery, and the bottom just gets really big, and this is kind of the quintessential Dumble clean tone. And it really, of course, no pedal will ever replace an amp, but we're about 90% close to what the real deal does when you're going through, clean platform. And so I'm really, really happy with the result that came out of this.
So, do you mind if we hear the gain just way up high? You say it doesn't really change the distortion so much as the bottom end?
Yeah, it's just going to add this bigness to it. So let's go with a bigger gain setting here. I'm just going to leave the filter as is.
Sounds great, man.
Yeah.
All right, should we move on to the Ultra-Phonix Overdrive?
Yeah, let's move on to the Ultra-Phonix. So what this is emulating the Overdrive style Dumble pedal, or Overdrive style Dumble amp. And we had access here to 2 different versions of the Overdrive Special. One was the late 70s and one was the 90s. And they, everybody says every Dumble's different. So having more than one model kind of helped us figure out what were the commonalities that, the Dumbles have. There's like this kind of chirp that they have on the attack, and this sort of harmonic content where you almost can kind of hear almost like an octave above sometimes when it's feeding back, and certain ways that it compresses, and really trying to emulate that. And so again, having the real amplifiers allows us to be able to really dial in as closely as possible with a pedal format what these amps really do. So what we have here on the left is volume. Middle, we have a filter that works very similarly to what we saw on the steel string, and then gain all the way on the right.
So since, as like you mentioned before, Dumbles are so rare, so expensive, hardly anyone's ever gotten to play one. They're mythological, really. So how would you describe, for people who haven't had that one-on-one access to real Dumbles, how does the Ultra-Phonix differ from the steel string?
So the steel string is really going after the clean tone, the single channel Dumble, and that's really a big sound. Kind of think John Mayer's Continuum or Stevie Ray Vaughan Texas Flood. It's that really huge, clean tone. Whereas the Overdrive Special is kind of more along the lines of like the Robin Ford, Larry Carlton thing. It's kind of smooth, has this really strident kind of mid-range, and it definitely has a lot more gain on tap where you can get these really cool harmonics out of it. And it's really, just more of an overdrive that just has a very specific voicing that's unlike what you could get out of a Marshall gain sound or a Mesa Boogie gain sound. It's kind of unique, your own voice.
Okay, let's hear it, Owen. Sounds great. Should we move on to the T drive now?
Yeah, let's move on to the T drive. So, in keeping with emulating amps, I also had access through one of my other clients a Liverpool, which is made by Ken Fisher, the amazing amp maker who designed all the train wrecks.
I was wondering if the T stood for train wreck.
Yes. So what we're doing here again is a similar thing. I had access to 2 different Liverpools, and we were just emulating that really amazing kind of like pumping compression almost that happens where it's almost like you hear the transformer starting to give. It's being so saturated and overloaded. So it's really trying to emulate that really beautiful power amp distortion that is characteristic of train wrecks, that Marshall sound that's just on like the edge of blowing up. It has that beautiful cleanup that train wrecks are known for, but also that sponginess in feel and attack that they're known for. So just 2 controls on this, volume and gain. The EQ is set, and it's pretty neutral through pretty much any amp platform. So I think people will find that irrespective of whatever amp they're going into, they'll get a pretty flat response. Whatever their EQ is on their amp is going to match up with what comes through the pedal, and they're going to get all those characteristics that train wrecks are really known for.
Cool. Owen, you want to show us? Very nice, man. Sounds great. So how much are these going to go for?
So everything that we just played will be at $199 as the USA street price.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to tell everyone where to go online to find out more?
Yes, you can find out more at vertexeffects.com, and you can see all of our current and future pedals that will be coming onto the market for 2017.
Awesome. Thanks, Mason. Thanks, Owen. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm Sean Hammond for PremierGuitar.com.